welcome to Highland, a Beavis and BUtt-Head Rewatch podcast. My name is Chris Paw.
And I'm Drew Mulkins.
We're here today to talk about the second episode of the first season, Give Blood, which aired on March 8th, 1993. And the plot is as follows. After seeing a trailer for the latest Arnold Schwarzenegger flick, Beavis and BUtt-Head get the idea to sell their blood to buy movie tickets. They go down to the Blood Mill Bill, which is where you sold your blood in 1993, where a thick nurse sticks them with an IV before getting a phone call from her estranged ex-husband. She gets so distracted by the call that she forgets the boys, who have full blood bags at this point, are looking a little peakish. She panics and gives them a Fig Newton each before sending them on their way with their bag of blood.
Yeah.
The boys go home with their blood bags and back are watching TV and influenced by another movie trailer called Bloodbath, a horror flick. BUtt-Head is inspired to smash his blood bag over Beavis's head, leaving Beavis completely covered in blood, and that's the episode.
Yeah, that's the episode. That's what happens.
And then on the version we watched, there's one sort of insert of music videos that we'll get to in 1 second, but then after all the action, it played the other version of all the videos. So we're unsure at this point if this is just the fan edit that we've been watching.
Yeah, after the story was over, like there's one more music video after the story happens and then the episode's over. But after that last music video, it then played all the music. Like I think we were watching the B version of the music videos up until then, and then it played all of the A version videos after the whole episode was over, basically.
So if you're keeping track, I believe this is the original one, and I believe the B version is the Paramount Plus.
Yeah, well, on Paramount Plus, I watched it earlier today. It was the B version, but it didn't have the first two videos, Physical by Olivia Newton-John and Sedated by the Ramones.
Okay.
It also started it with them walking to the clinic. It starts after the first music break is over, is the beginning of the episode. So it doesn't have the Arnold Schwarzenegger...
The parody of the
Schwarzenegger
movie.
You don't know why they're going to sell their blood. It just starts there.
They're just going down to sell some blood.
Because I think Paramount Plus just wanted to be like, we have an episode from every season of Beavis and BUtt-Head.
So they just put stuff
So they put like part of an episode from season 1 because it was the best they could do.
So if you're following along, this was what I believe is the original version. The videos are these. Olivia Newton-John, Physical, Let's Get Physical. The Ramones, I Want to Be Sedated. Big Daddy Kane and Barry White, All of Me Wants All of You. I hope you guys can't hear all of the noise that we could hear. Apologies if there's some bleed through of motorcycles driving by and whatnot. It's we're here in Cleveland. It's the week of the air show, and also we have upstairs neighbors in this studio that decided that it was time to play. Really, they're just jamming out up there.
Yeah.
So bear with us. All the episodes won't be like this. But Big Daddy Kane, Barry White. With Barry White, All of Me Wants All of You, Judas Priest, Painkiller, and Concrete Blonde, Bloodletting. On version B, you get Megadeth, Symphony of Destruction, Sinead O'Connor's Nothing Compares to You, Scatterbrain, Don't Call Me Dude, and Jackal the Lumberjack.
Yeah. And the version we saw had all of all the music videos in
Had
it.
all of those, but
It had the breaks and then all like 5 of them in a row at the end.
yeah. I think this is probably my best guess is we've got the original, then we've got version B, which was probably the European version.
No,
And then
maybe.
we have the Paramount Plus, which is them all the years later trying to
Mhm.
gather rights for all the different music
Yeah.
and failing.
Yeah.
Or just not wanting to pay for all of the music. So the music doesn't really seem to connect to the plot thread or the gag in this episode
No.
very well. It does, you get concrete bloodletting. Get physical. They are getting physically drained of blood.
Yeah.
And they are sort of sedated. It's a very loose, very tenuous connection, if any, this time around. Although Judas Priest Painkiller seems appropriate. There are no drugs involved in this episode.
Yeah.
What are your feelings on this one?
About the songs or
Just
just in general?
overall episode.
This is
kind
another
of a dumb plot.
Yeah, this is another one where the plot kind of doesn't make a lot of sense. I like bits and pieces of it. I like the conversation that the woman has on the phone with her ex-husband. I think that's funny.
It is funny that it's an estranged husband who's you just disappeared 15 years ago, she says
But,
at some point.
yeah,
I haven't
just-
seen you in 15 years.
Just sending them on their way with their bag of blood. I don't even understand.
Yeah, it's like what is she trying? Is she trying to hide
Yeah.
that she did this? Is she
And then
just,
like the bag is so big they can like barely carry it. I guess that's kind of funny,
yeah, they're
but
carrying it over their heads on
Yeah,
their shoulders
I-
like Atlas.
yeah, it's another very strange one. Another one where I feel like they're just trying to put whatever they can out there to meet the demand that already exists for Beavis and Butthead in the world,
Yeah, there's some of the things like the last episode with the god of feces, and then this one where they're covered in blood. It feels like it was more of an animation challenge than a story challenge.
Yeah.
Like these were things he thought would be fun to animate and to draw.
Yeah.
Like that would be visually interesting, like them getting covered in blood, and how do you animate turds floating out of a stadium,
Yeah.
and overflowing. I that seems to be the idea with some of these early ones, is more the challenge of the animation than making any kind of solidly written gags or anything.
Yeah, but there's inklings of what will come. I really like, again, this like self-interested nurse with these little details in her conversation and everything. I think that you'll see more characters that are kind of like that in later episodes.
Yeah, it is a very Mike Judge sort of character.
Like there's this is still very like proto Beavis and Butthead, but
so many of the plots in these are driven by the other people they interact with just ignoring what they're saying completely.
Yeah.
Or just misunderstanding it. There just seems to be a lot of miscommunication that should be very direct. No one's ever reacting to what you're seeing as you watch it.
Yeah, and we're going to see more of those sort of plot lines that happen over and over again once we get into season 2.
Especially with Mr. Anderson and Van Driesen.
Season 2 is really where the show becomes what it is.
Yeah.
At this point, the success is more than MTV knows how to handle, Mike Judge knows how to handle. They're doing what they can at this point.
Yeah. The concept of the characters at this point is still very good, and you want to see where it's going to go. But it is it's just kind of it's this same it's Mike Judge going like, no, I mean it. They're really stupid.
Yeah.
They're stupid guys. No, you don't get it yet. Let me show you further how stupid they are.
Yeah, and them not knowing at all, just kind of having the vague idea that you can sell your blood for money, and then Butthead has like a series of like urban legends that he tells to Beavis as like the truth, and he's clearly just making some of it up too as he goes along. And that's good. That's like, really a glimpse of the sort of interactions that they have moving forward. There's bits and pieces of this episode that eventually become parts of the show. It's just, this really weird plot that doesn't really make any sense kind of is more kind of perplexing than you want it to be.
Yeah, there's definitely all these early episodes, no matter what we rate them at, there's definitely enough here that you can see why he was asked to, like, what more can you do with these characters? Give us some more.
He needed a real writing staff and not just whoever happened to work for MTV at the time. And they needed to go on a retreat. They needed to like start really breaking some stories. Yeah. And they didn't get to do that. This thing was already a hit and they didn't have episodes. They just had these very short animated things that they tried to. So he was pumping things out pretty quick here.
These early episodes definitely live and die by the music video pieces of the show. Because those are still some of the best jokes in it. I can't think of any in this one. They were all kind of songs that the boys were big fans of, so they were hard to.
I feel like there were a lot of things where they were talking about how Big Daddy Kane had a sexy voice.
Yeah,
I think there were some jokes about that, and like there were some jokes about like the fat guy in the Olivia Newton-John video.
There is a Butthead moment with the Judas Priest one where he's like, Rob Halford rocks, and then he sees him again and he goes, oh, that dude's old.
Yeah, and in the Concrete Blonde video, they do see a frog, and they immediately yell frog baseball to get that reference in there.
Yeah, the callback is there. There's one joke I found very funny that was in there when they leave and they're discussing going to sell their blood. He's like, what do you know about selling blood or something? And he goes, never take their first offer.
That's a good,
Which is an early, and you'll get a lot of this throughout the show, is of them just taking bits and pieces of things they barely paid attention to that adults have told them. And,
so I think...
And trying to apply it.
That's kind of the first glimpses of that we see. I think there are some, there's bits that become bigger character traits and kind of world building and how other characters interact with them.
Yeah.
This is all kind of there, but again, you send him home with a bag of blood? What the... that makes the whole thing so weird and confusing. That's how they chose
how is
to
she
wrap that up
like that.
Yeah, like put it in an IV and get that back in there and then send them home, but he wanted to animate them, these skinny versions of them trying to carry these giant bags. I guess he thought that was a funny image.
Yeah, I think the idea of image wise, I think a lot of this stuff in the early ones, like the God of Feces, and he's just doing things that are like dumb heavy metal guy
And
stereotypes.
How
Like blood is cool, vampires, and you know the music videos tie into it, and
grounded the world hasn't been established yet.
That's a good point too. For me, I imagine Highland. We were talking about this earlier. Highland is like there's a line in the first episode of Daria, which spins off of Beavis and ButtHead, where the only time they ever mention that she's knows Beavis and ButtHead in that show, in the pilot episode of that, her mom says something to the effect of like, "You need to be more social here. I don't want this to be a repeat of Highland." And she says, "Unless there's a nuclear power plant leaking all the time here, that's probably not likely to happen." So in my mind, this whole town where they live is everybody's deformed mentally in some way from a nuclear power plant nearby. Perhaps Springfield is in the same state.
There is like a weird. She got interviewed on some like late night talk show. Later, Daria did, and they were like, "Do you ever talk to Beavis and ButtHead?" And she's like, "They don't pick up their phone."
Oh yeah, there's like
I call them, but they don't pick up their phone.
Yeah, she gets interviewed on some other MTV show or something like that. But who's to say if it's canon or not?
Yeah.
Because there's also certainly there comes a point where you and in the hype of Beavis and ButtHead, where you can almost think of them as Looney Tunes, where they're punching in and punching out, and they're like playing in these shorts. But then you know what I mean? How they do that gag with like the Muppets and everything.
Yeah.
Where Beavis and ButtHead are just like these guys that play Beavis and ButtHead in their shows. And that's a funny way to think of them too, like Looney Tunes. It also helps if you don't want to do a whole multiverse explanation of why they can keep dying. They're just, they're like Roger Rabbit. They just get out there and they're in animated shorts sometimes. So officially, what do you got for what's your rating on this one?
I'll give this like 2.5 stars, 2 stars, I guess.
Okay, I'm gonna go with my first one. My first 1 star. I said it would be hard, and then I saw this one.
Yeah.
There's just so little there, and there's nothing to grab onto in it. It's it's like an excuse to get Beavis covered in blood, which I think he does in a way funnier episode later on that we'll get to.
I feel there's a lot more to grab onto here than like the last episode. Because it has like those kind of moments of you can kind of see where they're going with this. Like with the Mad Dog 2020 and like, I don't know.
Yeah, there are more jokes.
Yeah.
But I just the outcome, and I do think it's funny that when they get to the blood mobile, there's blood everywhere. Nothing is sterile. It's a nightmare. And
they completely, it's not even established whether or not they can read at this point. But the bloodmobile says free donation all over it. They just don't understand what they're doing.
That they're not going to get paid for this blood either. Yeah, is the kicker. Well, it's a Schwarzenegger movie. Do you feel is the gag here that at that point he was so famous that every teenager was so desperate to go see these movies?
Well,
is there anything to that?
Yeah, I think I want to say this is post Terminator 2. Yeah. Like just post Terminator 2. So, yeah, I mean, people wanted to see some Schwarzenegger action movies right then. Yeah. For sure.
This was definitely during his run. The Intern is what the fictitious trailer is that they see.
Yeah, and he ripped out someone's pancreas.
Yeah, that's what Arnold does.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's probably, in hindsight not not a worse one than the last one, but I'm gonna stick with my one on this one.
Okay.
For a Beavis and Butthead episode, this sucks.
I'm gonna stick with my 3. It had some moments that I thought had potential. Yeah.
So
Funk that.
yeah, there's there's that episode. Give blood, and the next one is called Balloon, and we'll see you in a few days or a week for that one. Thank you.
Yep.
Funk that.
Funk that.